Hi, my name is Carol Adams, and this is a presentation about the cost-effective program evaluation, specifically the pre-test, post-test design. This design is a type of outcome program evaluation. If this design looks at the target population of a social condition that the program is expected to change. This design is cost-effective, provides usable outcomes about the program, often used by administrators as well as agency stakeholders. It's a simple before program study, then the program is implemented, and then there is a post-program study that is done to determine if the results that the program was designed to achieve have been achieved. This type of pre-test, post-test program evaluation is most appropriate when used with a short-term program or used at regular intervals throughout a program, or for a pilot program or for a newly created program where you want to see if it's working or not working. There's different ways to implement a pre-test, post-test design that keep it cost-effective. You can use a control group. However, that is going to increase your expense a little bit for this type of design because you could be working with two groups of people rather than just the one group in the single case study. If you use them, there's several ways you can pick them. Cost-effective ways would be random selection. If you've got a target group of population, you can go out and randomly solicit participants and then put them in two groups based on their similarities or their differences so that you have consistency in the two groups. A different type of selection would be a waiting list selection, and that's if you've got a program that's in place and you've got a set number of people that can be in that program, but you have more than that respond as wanting to be in the program. You use those on the waiting list as your second group. Those are both cost-effective ways to come up with a control group and a treatment group for implementing this type of program evaluation. There's additional ways to keep it cost-effective, and it also increases the credibility and the reliability of the outcomes. You can do what's called a time series in your pre-test, post-test evaluation. And what that is when you have different tests given throughout the program. If you do this in the pre-test, post-test evaluation style, then it's not necessary to have the same participants in the program from the beginning to the end because you're taking feedback from the participants throughout the entire program. It establishes trending patterns for the people that are in the program, and you can get some data on the types of people that are coming in and out of the program. You would want to do a program evaluation to gain feedback about the program, and like we talked before, it can be to determine if the program is working, if it's not working, if there's changes that need to be made. Other things that you should be wanting to look for is the goals. Is the program meeting the expectations it was designed for in the first place? And is the program working? Does it seem like it's working for the participants as well as the administrators of the program? And external impacts that you need to consider when you're doing this type of design. It's important to remember that the participants can be affected externally by things in their environment. They can naturally mature, and that can have an impact on their responses to their pre-test and to their post-test. Friends and family could have an influence on the types of answers or the ways that they think and they feel about their behaviors. Media can influence them, as well as observations of other participants or people in their community. When you're creating the questionnaires that you're going to use, when you design the pre-test, post-test, you need to make sure that the conditions are the same for both the pre and the post-testing. And the survey questions for the pre and the post-test need to be simple and very clear to understand. And try to keep the survey short. Don't get it too long or you're going to lose the interest of the participants. Closed-end questions rather than open-end are going to cut down on the cost of determining what the data is that you're collecting. It also gives you more reliable responses to the data if you give it like a 1 to 5 scale or a yes-no response type situation. There's other things that are going to impact your responses or your data that you're getting from your pre-post test from the participants in their pre and their post-test, things like their gender, their ethnicity, their class, their culture, education. All these things are going to have an impact on the different people that are participating. The implementation of the program by the same person or individual with the same training, the same understanding of the program, also helps maintain the cost effectiveness of the program and helps maintain the cost effectiveness of the pre-post test evaluation. So just an overview, practical look at the application of a pre-post test program evaluation. The steps that you would need to go through would be first to determine the program that you're going to be evaluating, if it's one that's inexistent or one that's being created, and what the reason for that program is in the first place. Once you've determined what program you're going to evaluate, and the second thing you would need to do is determine the design that you're going to be using. If it's only going to be a single case study, if you're going to use a control group, or if you're going to do time series, all of those variables are going to determine on the type of program that you're evaluating in the first place, as well as your time and your money that you have available for the program. Then you're going to make the selection of the groups of participants. Once those selections have been made, you're going to have those participants engage in a pre-test. Then they're going to engage in the program, and then they're going to engage in a post-test. The pre-test is going to give you a baseline measurement. The post-test is going to give you valuable data about the program to let you know if it's working, not working, needs to be looked at, or anything else. This type is a qualitative evaluation. The information used from the outcomes that is gathered by the participants' responses to the questions given before the program versus the same questions given after the program provides data that's valuable to the program. It's kind of a big circle to go around. But the information that's gathered here is used not only by the program administrators, but also by the agency administration to determine if they need more staff, don't need more staff, as well as the stakeholders for the agency. That could be the board of directors or what have you, that's determining whether or not the money's being well spent and if the program needs to be altered. With those things in mind, just a quick review of the steps that you're going to be looking at when you implement this type of pre-test, post-test, cost-effective program evaluation. You're going to determine the program that you're going to evaluate. Then once you've determined that program, you're going to take a look at what types of participants you would need in the evaluation. Then you're going to make a selection for your groups. If you're going to have just one group that does the pre-test, post-test, or if you're going to use a control group as well as a treatment group and have two that go through the program for the pre-test, post-test, or if you're going to use a time series design where you're going to use multiple testings throughout the length of the program to gather your data from. All of the participants need to engage in the program. All of the participants need to engage in the pre-test and the post-test under the same exact conditions. And the data that you get from that is then used by the program administration in a cost-effective manner to maintain the program or change the program based on the needs of the participants in the target population that was identified in the beginning. So, with all that information rolling around in your head, I want to show you a really short, kind of fun little video that shows a pre-test, post-test, single case study with a single participant to kind of give you a general idea of what the pre-test questions were for her, what the program was that she participated in, and know what the post-test situation looked like, just so you can kind of put this all together and maybe make a little bit of sense out of it. Okay, with that in mind, here we go, Richard.